Hi, I'm Tiz, ex-corporate leader, speaker, consultant, and host of the tizTALKS podcast. I help people empower themselves with the tools and insights to move beyond all those pesky roadblocks and actually live the life they dream about. And by showing up today tells me you're ready to take yourself and your life to new heights. See you on the inside. Hey there, welcome to tizTALKS, and we're revving up for a new journey into the realms of self-leadership and personal development. I'm Tiz, your host for this great new adventure, and I couldn't be more excited to have you here with me, because today it's about setting the stage for this podcast and for future episodes, because I want to share with you some really interesting insights that we can all relate to about the hurdles and challenges of successful self-leadership and how to achieve our most prized goals and dreams. So this podcast is going to be a deep dive into that self-discovery and how do we break through all those roadblocks? Because my goal isn't to provide you with just 20 or 30 minutes of entertainment, but hopefully to motivate you, to reach higher, move closer to truly living the kind of life, doing the kinds of things you really want to do for yourself. So I'm going to start this episode with some real eye-opening statistics. And according to a study by Gallup, a staggering 85% of people worldwide are not engaged. They are actively disengaged at work. That's 15% of workers only that truly feel invested in their jobs. And 79% of people believe they have a significant amount of unused potential. That's right. Nearly 8 out of 10 of us walking around, daydreaming about the lives we could all be living. It was this that inspired me to do this podcast, because we have this huge opportunity to not be part of this statistic. But more curious, why is this? Why do so many people fall short of realizing their dreams or living the life they really want? Well, I have a theory, and that is you take yourself wherever you go. It's a concept that's simple, but also very profound. And if you think about it, our good, our bad, our ugly experiences, all of our beliefs, our habits all tag along for the ride everywhere we go, shaping every twist and turn of our lives. And I mean, going to work where everyone else brings their entire lives under one roof is the biggest cause and reason for so much interpersonal stress. You know what I'm saying? And sure, you go to work and you put your best behavior suit on, but that's until something happens. And then all of a sudden, our quirks, our fears, our hangups, our biases, you name it, starts to show itself. It happens at home too and everywhere else. And we really are a culmination of everything that has ever happened to us. And so many people never deal with it, never really do the work to look at themselves and remain the passengers in their own life. But really, they've given up their own opportunity to get into the driver's seat, because the ones that do step into the driver's seat are the ones that have given themselves that power to be able to reroute, redefine, reshape their path. Because to truly achieve your potential means doing what you haven't done before and doing the work and knowing yourself and how it impacts every single decision you ever make. I mean, picture this. You're on a brink of a breakthrough of some kind, but suddenly that little voice of doubt creeps into your head and it whispers all kinds of tales of failures and inadequacies and fears. Or perhaps you find yourself trapped in that comparison game, measuring your success against others and feeling like you'll never measure up. And let's not forget the classic procrastination trap, where the lure of instant gratification can heavily outweigh the long-term benefits of all the hard work and perseverance. So let's ponder a question. Is the real reason so many people give up on their dreams and to reach higher simply a lack of resilience or personal commitment? Well, according to research by psychologist Angela Duckworth, author of Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance, she says yes, plays a crucial role in achieving long-term goals. However, it's not just about grit. It's also about having a clear sense of purpose. I mean, you need that to stay committed to your vision, even in the face of adversity. But the most common reasons people do not even come close to realizing their potential or fulfilling their deepest desires. Number one, fear. Let's get that out of the way. Fear of rejection, fear of being humiliated, fear of failing. The biggest common barrier that holds people back from pursuing their goals and realizing their potential is fear. The fear of making mistakes or falling short of expectations. Boy, it can prevent individuals from even taking initial risks or even exploring new opportunities. But you know what? Failure has to be part of the equation. It's part of the personal growth. We learn from failure. It has so much value. But what do? Avoid it at all costs. I'm telling you, we're going to be talking a lot about fear because it is the biggest self-sabotager. Number two, not willing to feel uncomfortable. We value our comfort zones way too much, and people often become complacent or comfortable in their current settings and situations, settling for that mediocrity, even though they don't want to settle and they're irritable and discontent about it, but still they choose that comfort instead of pushing and disciplining themselves to strive for greater heights. And stepping out of their comfort zone can be so intimidating, leading many to cling onto familiar territory rather than venturing into that unknown because it feels so unsafe. But in my experience, when I finally do find the courage to step into that unknown, wow, you know what? It never disappoints. Number three, negative self-talk. And oh boy, this is a biggie, especially for me. This dialogue that keeps playing in our heads, this role that shapes our beliefs and perceptions. Oh, negative self-talk, self-doubt, self-criticism. These limiting beliefs can really erode our confidence, so much so that it diminishes our sense of potential. And how horribly sad is that? That we ourselves have become our own worst enemies, choosing to believe we aren't worth it. We don't deserve it. Dreams fulfilled are for other people. And I believe this to be the most tragic of all things that stop us. And yes, a whole lot more about this in future episodes. Number four, external influences. Things like societal expectations, family pressures, lack of support from our friends or partners, and the pressure to remain within sort of cultural norms even can all influence individuals' perceptions of their own potential. Messages from social media, the peers, the authority figures all contribute to put that doubt in our minds and fuels that self-limiting beliefs that literally hinder our personal growth. And I can relate to this one an awful lot, particularly when I was younger, because I had people in my life back then that told me I shouldn't do things. I wanted to be a broadcaster, a singer, an actor. And the messages I received were, these are superficial professions. And they gave me every reason why I shouldn't do any of these things. They literally deterred me. And as a young woman in need of love and approval, I literally abandoned my own goals for people that, you know what, aren't even part of my life anymore. Because back then, their opinion somehow mattered more to me than my own. See, external influences can be very powerful when you're a work in progress, particularly if you were anything like me, who really wanted the approval and love of others. But the only approval I ever needed, and something I had to learn, had to come from myself. And it's not easy to go against the grain, go against the current. And we're going to talk a lot about the mental toughness and resilience that we need when we do go against those norms. Number 5, lack of planning and goal setting. Now, without a clear roadmap of achievable goals and objectives, it's kind of hard to know where you're going, and it's challenging for individuals to recognize and even harness their potential. So, setting specific and much smaller goals that provide us with the direction and momentum to be able to maintain the motivation helps individuals unleash their full capabilities. Okay, so you might think, oh, this is an easy one to solve. It's more logistical. I just need a plan. But I'm going to tell you something. More often than not, the biggest part of planning and goal setting that people struggle with the most is how to actually start, where to begin, or even what to do. Waiting for the stars to align, for everything to be absolutely perfect before we do anything. And we know that will never happen. So we're going to be spending a lot more time on setting goals, but how to effectively execute as well, because liftoff is everything. And you can reroute and redefine as you go. But if you don't have liftoff, you are going nowhere. All right, number 6, limited resources. So this is things like lack of education or mentorship or opportunities. And it can impact individuals' ability to really realize their potential. Economic disparities, even geographical locations, and social barriers all limit access to resources essential for personal development. And in so many parts of the world, people, and in particular women, they're denied access to resources, while in other parts where food and water are the biggest challenges, most never receive or have access to the kinds of resources required to be able to move beyond their own environment. And for us in the Western world, well, even then, it's not fair game and it's not equally accessible. And what this means is that for some of us, or many of us, the starting gate, well, is way further back than others who might have, well, easy access to money, inroads, people with position of influence and power, etc. But you know what? There's so many stories to rags to riches. And the one that comes to mind is Jewel. She was homeless. That was her starting gate. And yet she became a Grammy award-winning singer-songwriter. While James Altucher makes an interesting observation that he was middle-class spoiled, that he had all the comforts provided to him, and he did very little with his resources available. And sometimes lack of resources can actually be our greatest motivator. James Altucher, New York Times bestseller, provides an interesting dichotomy. And the final one that we'll be spending time on is self-awareness. Many people don't even recognize their own strengths, their own talents, their own capabilities. And without a clear understanding of their potential, they may really underestimate what they're really capable of. I truly believe people are sitting on a gold mine of abilities they failed to acknowledge in themselves. But often, and in most cases, it's not so much as recognizing the talents or hard skills we have, but about the lack of soft skills and truly understanding our own emotions. Because before we can thrive out there, we have to go inward, looking to see and observe how we operate. And what exactly is contributing to that self-sabotage? The limiting beliefs, the defensiveness, maybe being reactionary or being prideful or being protective. These are just some of the big barriers that require a combination of a lot of self-reflection, mindset shifts, self-discipline, and a whole lot more that we're going to talk about. But the skill and gift of self-awareness and observation is what helps us to truly overcome those obstacles. And it fosters that growth-oriented mindset. Individuals who have a lot of self-awareness, they have the ability to unlock their untapped potential and achieve greater success and fulfillment. And forget believing you've mastered self-awareness, because just when you think you know it all, well, life loves to throw you something new you've never had to experience or deal with before. We are constantly evolving with new experiences as we travel through life, because self-awareness has to be an ongoing practice and something we continually do and learn from. When we begin to really observe ourselves, we can begin to acknowledge what we failed to see previously. And that's huge. By recognizing our self-sabotaging behaviors and cultivating a new understanding and resiliency to push through those limitations through a non-judgmental lens, I might add, is where the magic is. Okay, so 7 big reasons the majority of people do not live up to their potential is fear of failure, staying in our comfort zones, negative self-talk, external influences, limited resources, and lack of self-awareness. Now, you might think, oh, this is way too big, too much to tackle. I mean, those 7 things are all in themselves pretty significant. And only any one of those can be a massive roadblock. And if you're anything like me, I possessed all 7 of those. But fear not. Once you have the tools and the insight, and you have that all in your arsenal, they kind of fall like dominoes. There is a lot of satisfaction in blowing your sabotagers, your self-limitations to smithereens. So, we have a whole lot coming down the pipe in the future episodes of tizTALKS. We've got a lineup of experts and guests ready to dish out on practical tips, share their experiences and strategies for mastering the art of self-leadership, peeling back those layers of other modern-day luminaries, and tapping into their wisdom and insights. Plus, I'm going to be sharing a whole lot about my experiences with all of you. And guess what? I also want your input. What's worked for you? What trips you up? I want to know, because we want to talk about it. So, as you think about these self-sabotagers, remember, leadership isn't just a job title. It's not something you do, and it's not just something for some people between the hours of 9 to 5. We all lead. We are all leaders, and we all need to take the lead, because the quality of our lives, the quality of our work, depends on our ability to lead ourselves and lead ourselves well, because leadership is a way of life. So that's a wrap for me today. My very first inaugural episode of the new and improved tizTALKS. I am so excited. Remember, you take yourself wherever you go. Step into your power. Until next time, keep exploring, keep evolving, and keep leading yourselves towards greatness.